Producing a clear and informative academic paragraph or essay is a very challenging task for students as it involves complex processes and requires inspiration, creativity, knowledge of the topic, and very good organizing skills. In this video, we will simplify the steps involved in creating an academic text by breaking down the process of generating and organizing the idea that you need to include in your paragraph or essay. Note here that the techniques you will be using to write about a topic that you haven't seen before and for which you have been given limited time, for example, when you're writing during formal exams and assessments, are a little different to the techniques that you will be using when you are given a topic in advance and for which you have the time to collect information from different media. In these video lessons, we will suggest some strategies that will help you cover both cases and will give you ideas for both cases. Let's begin. First of all, we need to understand the topic and the questions. And this is the first condition in order to be able to generate ideas, of course. So we need to have a clear understanding of the topic and also a clear understanding of the questions you are asked to write about. Many common issues that students may face, such as being off topic or feeling stuck and unable to come up with things to write, usually have to do with the fact that they did not understand what the essay asks them to do. The safest way to overcome this problem is, of course, to ask your teachers for clarifications. This is the obvious. However, there are times when the teacher is not able to provide enough assistance, especially in the context of a formal assessment where they are not allowed to give you the assistance you would like. A good way to get you started is to help you understand some key verbs used in the title that indicate how you need to approach the topic. The most common verbs are listed here and they are the following. So we can have verbs like list, discuss, compare, contrast, agree, disagree, define, or describe. We are going to talk about each of these verbs and we're going to explain what you need to write, how you need to approach the topic when you see these verbs in your essay. So let's examine each of them. And let's examine the corresponding type of essay or paragraph, starting with the ones students usually consider easier and then moving on to the ones that students find more challenging in some ways. To begin with, listing paragraphs are among the simplest and most straightforward types of paragraphs. And as the verb suggests, you have to list at least 3 points about the topic, each point in a separate paragraph. It's clear, right? Now, let's move on to descriptive paragraphs, which can also be relatively simple and uncomplicated when compared to other types of paragraphs. Here, you are asked to give a detailed description of something, and this something is usually a place, a person, an event, or sometimes an emotion or state. Although it is easy to generate ideas for a descriptive paragraph, the challenge lies in the fact that the language needs to be both creative but also memorable in order to leave a lasting impression on the reader and also help them visualize what the writer, which is you, describes. In this sense, good command of the language is a must for this type of paragraph. Moving on to comparison and contrast essays, this is another common type of paragraph. Such paragraphs may ask you to either compare something, contrast, or both. Remember that when you compare, you focus on the similarities between two aspects of the topic, whereas when you contrast, of course, you focus on their differences. The title may also ask you to present both similarities and differences in a balanced way, which means that both comparisons and contrasts have to be of equal length and equal importance in your text. Next on, we have discussion paragraphs, which are also common in the context of academic writing, and they ask you to present two sides of an argument. They're usually either part of a for and against or part of a pros and cons essay, and the standard structure of such text requires you to first present your for and against or pros and cons arguments and conclude by stating your personal opinion. Moving on, we have agree and disagree paragraphs, where in these paragraphs, which are usually parts of an agree and disagree essay, you have to present your personal opinion about an issue based on well-supported logical arguments. When working with this type of paragraph, you need to start by clearly stating whether you agree or disagree with the issue and proceed to listing the reasons that support your view. So your personal opinion, whether you agree or disagree, has to appear in the topic sentence, and that's very important. This is usually one of the most challenging essays for students, as it requires both good knowledge of the topic and strong, well-supported arguments. In definition paragraphs, which is another type of paragraph, the writer is asked to provide information about a term. This is one of the most challenging types of academic paragraphs, as it requires familiarity with a term, but also the ability to, let's say, personalize the term. In other words, to be able to connect the term to your personal experiences so that it doesn't simply look like a long and boring dictionary entry. So, that was all for this lesson. Hopefully, this video helps you understand some of the most common ways to approach a given topic. In our next lessons, we will talk about research and information to include in your paragraphs, as well as some ways that you can use the information in original and creative ways.